Hello everyone. So today we will be studying that how do we factorize a cubic polynomial, or how do we find out the roots or zeros of a cubic polynomial. Suppose you have a polynomial px is equals to x cube minus 23x square plus 142x minus 120. So you can clearly see here that your constant term is minus 120. So for finding the factors of a cubic polynomial, your first step should be to find the factors of the constant term. Now we can see that the probable factors of the constant term are plus minus 1, plus minus 2, plus minus 3, plus minus 4, plus minus 5, plus minus 6, plus minus 8, plus minus 10, plus minus 12, plus minus 15, plus minus 20, plus minus 24, plus minus 30, and plus minus 60. So these are all the possible factors of minus 120. Now by hit and trial, we find out that particular factor for which px is equals to 0. That means हम सारी की सारी values को try करेंगे to solve for px is equals to 0. जिस भी x के लिए ये polynomial 0 होगी, that will be our first root of the polynomial. So we find out by hit and trial that p of 1 is equals to 1 cube minus 23 into 1 square plus 142 into 1 minus 120, which turns out to be 0. So by this method, we know that by the factor theorem, x minus 1 is a factor of px. So we have our first factor of px. So now what we do is we divide px by the factor x minus 1 by the regular division process. So we get So when we divide the polynomial x cube minus 23x square plus 142x minus 120 by the linear polynomial x minus 1, we get the quotient to be x square minus 22x plus 120. So we can write px is equals to x minus 1 into x square minus 22x plus 120. So now you have that your px is a product of the linear polynomial x minus 1 and the quadratic polynomial x square minus 22x plus 120. And you have already studied कि जब भी आपके पास quadratic polynomial होगी तो उसको आप factorize कर सकते हो by the method of splitting the middle term. So now we factorize the polynomial x square minus 22x plus 120 by the method of splitting the middle term. So we find that this can be written as x square minus 12x minus 10x plus 120, because minus 12 into minus 10 is plus 120 and minus 12 plus minus 10 is minus 22. So now we factorize this particular polynomial. From the first two terms, we have x common, so it becomes x into x minus 12. And from the next two terms, we have minus 10 common, so it becomes minus 10 into x minus 12. And now we have x minus 12 into x minus 10. Therefore, when you substitute these values for the quadratic polynomial in your equation 1, you get that px is equals to x minus 1 into x minus 12 into x minus 10. So this is how you factorize your polynomial px, that is your cubic polynomial. And now if you're asked to give the roots of this particular polynomial or the zeros of this polynomial, you can equate it to 0. And then you will find that if this product has to be 0, then either x minus 1 is 0, or x minus 12 is 0, or x minus 10 is 0, which gives us that x is equals to 1 or x is equals to 12 or x is equals to 10. Therefore, the zeros of the polynomial are 1, 12, and 10. So we can summarize this process in the 5 steps. Step number 1 is to find the factors of the constant term in px. मतलब आपकी जो px पॉलिनोमियल है उसमें आपकी जो कांस्टेंट टर्म है उसके आप फैक्टर्स निकालिए. स्टेप नंबर 2 इज बाय हिट एंड ट्रायल चेक विच फैक्टर सैटिस्फाइज px इज इक्वल्स टू 0. आपने जो भी फैक्टर स्टेप 1 में निकाले हैं उनको आप px में डाल के ये चेक करिए कि कौन से फैक्टर के लिए यू आर गेटिंग दैट px इज इक्वल्स टू 0. Now that particular factor a will be your first zero of the polynomial, and by the factor theorem x minus a will be a factor of px. Now step 3 is जो आपकी linear polynomial आई है x minus a, इससे आप px को divide करोगे so that you obtain a quadratic quotient qx such that px will be written as the product of x minus a and qx. Now since this qx is a quadratic polynomial, in the next step you will factorize this quadratic polynomial by the method of splitting the middle term so that you can obtain qx to be the product of two linear polynomials which can be given by x minus b into x minus c. So in step 5, what you will be doing is you will substitute this value of qx into this particular equation so that you obtain px to be equal to x minus a into x minus b into x minus c, where a, b, and c are the zeros of the polynomial, and this is the factorization of the polynomial px.